Hey, we're back this evening. I am here right now with Organised Confusion. Hello there, Organised Confusion. How are
I'm
you?
all right.
Been a bit of
How are you
trouble
doing?
getting on? Yeah, bit of trouble getting onto the Hangout as per usual.
I have a hard time with any platform nowadays.
Yeah, you're a bit of you're a person that likes to stand up and tell the truth too, aren't you?
Yeah, get ridiculed for it, but that comes with the territory.
Yeah, you're not the only one though. I get it too. I get, like I watch in my panel, my admin panel, because when you've got a channel, you always go to the analytics and stuff like that. I was watching it going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. I filmed it, I made a video of it, I kept reporting it. It took them about 2 weeks and then it stopped. But they said there was nothing wrong, but there was. Hello there.
I'm here. It's just sending me a bunch of messages that you had sent to me earlier. It's sending them to me now.
Well, I suppose at least they got to you. At least we got on a hangout. But they're crazy. They say all
Yeah.
these things. They're not taking your views off. They're fiddling around with the admin panel one way or another, so that you're never showing what's really going on, or you never know how many people are looking at your channel.
No. And I've been getting hundreds of messages from people telling me I can't leave messages on my videos, comments. And
Yeah, I put a comment on your video, and then they took it off.
whoa, what happened to the speaker?
I'm here, but
What
yeah,
in the
do you
hell
remember
is
I
going
told you?
on?
But I can see you.
Something's going on. Hold on. I can't hear you. Hold on. You're calling me on Facebook right now.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. I wish I had my screen recording right now.
Is it all right now?
Now you're back. You were
Yeah, I was.
calling me. I didn't hear you because it went back to telephone because I had a call coming in. I looked and it was from you.
Oh, never mind. Well, we're here again now, and everything's all right. You're a multi-talented man, aren't you? You don't just speak out about the truth. You also make music, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I like your songs. They're really good. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No, I do
And how long
appreciate.
do they?
I made music for a really, really long time of my own. I haven't written any songs now in about 4 or 5 years.
You like doing covers of other songs, don't you?
Yeah, I've been doing that lately just to get people's attention.
Yeah,
It gets them to go to the channel.
good.
It gets them to go to the channel, and then I post at the end of the videos. They see the end videos that you can post up for people to choose from to watch next. I always put videos that I want people looking at the end of those videos. Those are more like bait to get people to come to the channel. And then once they get there, they see other videos and they're like, oh, I'll see what he has to say about this. And then they're like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, what's this video about? And then they watch the next one. They're like, oh, shit, that makes even more sense.
I like the
So,
fact that you put your own take on the song, so we know what we're listening to, but it's got your take on it.
yeah. Again, I just make those videos to bait people into getting to the channel.
You do it the sweet way through singing.
Yeah, yeah, it works. Because every time I get a new friend on Facebook, you always get the messages that uh, say hi to your new friend, blah, blah, blah. Well, I always post, thank you for adding me, yada, 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 a little message here. And then I post one of those singing videos so that they'll go there and watch it, hopefully. I'm a new friend. Why wouldn't they click on a video, of the person that you just added, see what they're all about before you start interacting with them? So,
Yeah, I did with you. I had a couple of your videos, and I kept, "Oh, I must go back to you." And then suddenly Christmas came, and then I couldn't find your message, and I had to ask to send you it again. And I just thought, oh wow, they're all brilliant, all the songs brilliant. And I like your take as well, because obviously you're a truther, and you like to tell people the truth.
yeah.
So how are we going to talk about the next subject? then. Well, that one, you know what's going on right now, guys? The big thing that's going on right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the honey badger disease is one YouTuber is calling it.
Oh, well, that one. What did you call it?
The honey badger disease.
Well, that one then. So, what did you want to say? But you have to use that word.
Well, I have been getting information sent to me via email as well as other ways that people are getting in contact with me with video footage of things that are going on where they're at and wanting me to share it. So I've been having to make videos to be able to share it. But unfortunately, um, the day before yesterday, Facebook banned me from sharing any of my own videos on Facebook from YouTube. I can go to YouTube and I click the share button and I go to share it, and Facebook says this URL has been blocked by Facebook. And no explanation as to why. They just don't want the videos with that URL being posted up. So I go and try and post a different video about that honey badger disease. And that also is blocked, that particular one. And so I keep going through different videos until I finally get to a video that from my channel that will post, but it doesn't have anything to do with the honey badger disease. It has to do with music or something like that. All those videos are welcome on Facebook right now. But if you post anything about the honey badger disease, they don't want it up there.
It is a bit strange that, it's not, we knew they don't like us saying, we know they don't like saying all these things, but this last few months, there's been a right stamp down on everything, hasn't it? I mean, really stamp down, and the whole algorithm has changed.
My channel on YouTube has been completely demonetized. 100% completely demonetized. I can no longer make money from that YouTube channel. If I want to make money again from YouTube, I have to open a new channel or go through a distribution dealer, to get paid for ads and such, or find a sponsor, because
Really?
they completely demonetized me about a week ago. YouTube did, for putting up the videos.
Sorry?
For putting up the videos about the honey badger disease, virus, whatever you want to call it.
Whoa,
Yeah.
really?
And I mean, a lot of people don't understand, but the C word that they use to describe this in the media is a general classification for a bunch of them. It's not just this one particular thing that's called that. There is a whole family of those honey badgers that are all called that, and this one happens to be called SARS-CoV-19-2. That's the actual name of this. And CoV-19 is the name of the disease that it gives you. So it's a lot worse than what they're saying. Everybody knows that now, but now we're getting reports that it's 8 to 10 times what the media will report. There was a doctor in Chicago, Illinois, here in the United States, that was begging the CDC and the World Health Organization for tests because he has dozens of people in his hospital that are having the same type symptoms, and they won't send tests out to anyone. So if you don't test, then you can't have any confirmed cases. If you don't test, you can't have confirmed cases. So you can report the numbers that you get. So you can make the numbers whatever you want them to be by however many tests you let out. They know what the numbers are. You can run the numbers.
Do you know what I heard? I watched a video. It was probably at the beginning of this thing, but it basically said that to get what they want, to get the changes, the one world order or whatever you want to call it, they will do it through the medical side, and they'll do it this way. They'll do it through these kind of things.
That's what I believe it's being done, let go for. I believe it was an accident, kinda. I know that it was stolen from Canada, I know that it was stolen from Canada by that lady that was working in the lab, the Chinese lady that was working in the Canadian lab. When she got back to China with this virus that she had taken from there, it was because she was exiled from the place. Okay? And she probably for having taken stuff like that. So she goes back to China and is it's now released that she was an agent anyway for China in the first place. And I believe that when she brought it back, whoever was in charge was like, all right, well, we're going to test this and see if it's actually what we believe it is. And they tested it and it got out of control. They tested it on a little group of people and it got out of control. And there wasn't anything they could do about it after that. But the reason I believe that the United States isn't doing anything and a lot of other nations aren't doing anything and they're letting it spread is because they want to clear up the healthcare system from all the sick and old people. That would be billions of dollars a year that they would no longer have to be fitting the bill for.
Yeah, well, there's usually half a dozen things they're doing at once, isn't there? I mean, whenever they do anything, it's not just one
that and the
reason they're clearing
financial,
up. They're sticking in a whole lot of things in there at the same time.
the financial part is really bad. The market has been dropping every single day for, I don't know, a good 8 actual days of market days now. You know, like a week and a half now, it has done nothing but steadily drop. And I saw an interview on NBC uh, last night with Warren Buffett, and I put that in my video that I released this morning, and I put bits of it because it was like 2 hours long. This interview that I watched, and he laid everything out there on the table as far as what he could and what he was allowed to say. And you know, him and Bill Gates are real good friends. And Bill Gates is real big into the science world when it comes to infections and things like that. And Bill Gates told Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett stated this on NBC, that the warm temperatures coming is not going to stop this.
Do you believe it's a real thing though? Because I mean, a lot of the stuff over the weekend was that it was 5G.
And that he doesn't know what's going to happen with the market in the next 2 weeks, 2 months, 8 months, 10 months, year, 2 years, but he does know what the market's going to look like in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years from now. He looks at the market in the far distant future. As well as he says, nobody else ever will know what the market's going to do an hour from now, a week from now, or a month from now. Nobody does. And he's been doing the market for a really long ass time. You know, Warren Buffett, he was a normal guy. He had a normal life, regular family. He came from a regular family, working class, family. He saved up his money from paper routes and selling stuff and all that as a kid, as a teenager, went in as a young adult with $100 into the stock market and came up from that. Now he owns Geico and Loomis Fargo, Dairy Queen, Black & Decker, Fruit of the Loom. I mean, you name it. The list goes on and on. He owns like 10% of the top 20 airlines in existence. So,
mind you, you know what though? The businesses run us though.
What's that?
The businesses run us.
Well, what I see happening in the market is I see everybody selling off because it keeps dropping and everybody wants to get the fuck out. Sorry, my language. Everybody wants to get out before it's all gone. And so they're selling to whoever will buy, right? They're just, okay, sell, sell, sell. Well, people like Warren Buffett and other people that are in the market heavily are able to then scoop those up real cheap right now while they're at, 70 or 7,000 points in the hole, They
You know what that does though, doesn't it? You know what that does? At the moment, there could be 100 little businesses, and because they're selling, then it becomes all part of one business, the one that's being bought. So I don't like this either, because this is how they get rid of a lot of people.
That's how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Because now they're selling the stocks for next to nothing because they're next to worth nothing right now. And then they go on and they buy it out cheap. And now in 6 months, 8 months, 10 months from now, when all of this shit is behind us, they're going to start making money again. Well, they don't care because they have billions of dollars. So they have the money they can throw away and buy a company at 1.5 million instead of 900 million like it was worth 2 weeks ago. You see what I mean? They're literally buying the stocks for pennies right now. And he even admitted last night. He's like, yeah, we'll probably be buying some stuff. You know, he's a really well-mannered, nice guy. He doesn't come off as an asshole at all. He really doesn't.
What do you think about at the same time? Because I put it out only because people were starting to report it that it was all to do with 5G, and this is the results of 5G.
Well,
you know,
I don't believe it's a result of 5G at all.
The symptoms of the honey.
I just know that's something else. They're not supposed to be unveiling the weaponized part of that on people until what I heard is like 2035 or something. That's when they planned on doing something catastrophic to mankind to bring that population to 500 million like they want, like they've stated, like they've put on the Georgia Guidestones that they erected, the Masons.
It's in the NASA documents that they're going to genocide us as well.
Well, right, but they can do that with the 5G towers that they're putting everywhere, but they got to be everywhere first, and they have the power right now with the cell towers. If they wanted to, they could turn the power up on those and cook everything in the vicinity like a microwave. That's all it runs on is microwaves. So if they turn the power up on that, it would essentially turn everywhere within those vicinities of those towers into a microwaved area, And there's always gigantic power stations there at these towers, even though they only use a fraction of power period to run the cell tower. It runs on tiny amounts of electricity because of the fact that it's running microwaves into the sky and all over us. But they run it at low power. But if they were to jack the power up on those things, we'd all fry, and none of the buildings would be affected. So that's one way to get rid of a bunch of fucking people while you're down in your bunker, unaffected.
That's what I mean. You just don't know what they're doing to us all the time. There just seems to be a myriad of things going on all the time.
It's a jumbled up mess of things with the chemtrails that got Prince killed. I have videos about that on my channel, about Prince exposing the chemtrails. Weeks later, he's dead on his plane of an overdose. Yeah, okay.
You never know whether they're real or not, because I just, looking at the footage, I just wonder how real anybody is. I'm not sure if it's all just a game and that everybody's...
I believe that there are some real ones, and those are the ones that either get taken out or are replaced or whatever, Like, Dave Chappelle, the comedian, he went to Africa for like 8 years because they were trying to kill him because he wouldn't do what they wanted. The Hollywood affiliates with the whole Illuminati, as they call themselves, the Illuminati is a general term, like the term of that honey badger disease, the C word they call it. The word Illuminati is the same deal. It's a universal term for all of the secret society type cult, whatever groups you want to call it, It's a general term that you call all of them. But, the Illuminati people, they are the ones that really the pull the strings, Do
you find this, though, that when you get into these things, you end up finding out a lot more information, but you end up knowing less?
Well, you end up having more questions, which ends up having you know less because you figure out there's something else you don't know and that you need to get an answer to by digging for one thing. And that's why they don't like people with critical thinking, I go back to George Carlin, the comedian. He really was raw on government and whatnot, when he was alive with his bits, because he wanted to expose to people what they were a part of and how they were being snowed into believing one thing when something else is really real and something else is really going on.
Mm.
Because it is. There's a completely different world going on behind the scenes that most people know nothing about. Nothing at
Yeah.
all. Absolutely nothing at all. They're complete sheep being led by one herder. And they're okay with that. And that's part of the problem. They don't know that their civilization was duped, 5,000 years ago, you know, and they've been getting duped since before then, but they've.
I don't think it's even that long ago. I put a video out myself yesterday, right? And I found, well, over the weekend, came across these maps. They were a part of a program I was watching, and they're all got Tatara on them, and that's the 1500s. Then you've got all this stuff with spy networks and how they caught Mary Queen of Anne's, and then she was executed. The Queen signed it, then changed her mind, but they kept it, made sure, and then she was, or the Queen just says, deal with it. So they dealt with it. And then when they'd killed her, she was outraged when they killed Mary Queen. And at the same time, before that, so before Henry VII, I think before Henry VII, there's Henry VIII, then that was Elizabeth I. There was Edward IV, who was illegitimate. He never should have come to the throne. He didn't have a rightful heir. So there's a guy living in Australia who should be the King of England. I mean, and that's from the 1500s. So they've just been doing it for about, well, let's just say 500 years, but I don't even think it's that long, because we're only looking at paintings when we look at them.
I know that the Rockefeller and Rothschild families have been funding the wars since Napoleon. I've been able to track that far.
Yeah, but the wars to me are taking the children and destroying the buildings. That's two things they do with any wars.
Well,
they just want the children.
It's really about the money. It's
Yeah.
about the money.
Yeah.
In this country, in this nation anyway, the politicians have family members. They got cousins and brothers and aunts and uncles and so on. And all of those people own corporations like metal companies, clothing companies, fabric companies, things like this, and plastic companies, so on. And when they go into war and they need to order those things, they go through their families, businesses, so that they can continue to keep getting rich too, because you get $1 billion budget for
Terrible,
something.
isn't it? It's all just one big what do you call it? Production
line.
line.
Yeah. It's here they call it the military industrial complex. And that's exactly what it is. The only thing that this country produces anymore is protection for other countries that they normally are the ones creating the problems for. They go and fund.
Yes, I agree with you on that one.
I mean? They go into a country.
It's disgusting.
They go into a country and they pay people. They give them money. They fund them to have a militia, and then when the country is having a problem with this militia that the government is funded, then the U.S. steps in and says, "Hey, we can take care of that problem for you. All you got to do is let us set up a base, get some oil, we're set. We'll protect you. We'll get everything out of there. All your problems will go away." And then after they've got all their shit there established with oil and a base and so on in that area, they make the problem go away. However they have to. If the militia will listen to them afterwards and just go away like Al-Qaeda did, then they'll go away. If not, then they'll
I just think it's really strange. Sitting here listening to the Cold War and Russia and, communism and how they treated the people. But you wake up today, and I'm sorry, they're treating us just the same way. We are under some kind of communism. That's what we're living 100%, under.
100%. But they disguise it as freedom. But
yeah, democracy.
Try to go to Baskin Robbins and get 22 flavors. You ain't gonna fucking get it, because they only give you 21. You understand? you're still limited. You know, they've just gave you a bigger fence to run around in. You're still a slave stuck somewhere. You know, it's just a bigger fence, more room to run around, so you don't feel so trapped. You know, you got a whole country
Yeah,
to
to
run
make you
around in.
think. It's to make you think that you're not trapped.
Yeah,
Because, you know,
it's the illusion of
I
freedom.
remember watching a video about, you know, you put a wall round. Well, animals will go up to it for a bit and think, oh, I'd like to get through it. Oh, I'm giving up. And they walk off. They don't care that they, you know, they just go to another place. Us, we want to get over the wall and go. We don't like to be trapped.
Right. But so they've broadened the fences. You know what I mean? They knew that the slavery thing wasn't going to work, but for so long because the population was getting so big. You know, when these beings that are controlling us came here in the first place, these other humanoids that are controlling us now, they have low numbers. They've always had low numbers, but they're powerful and aggressive fucking beings, right? We were passive and let things go and we're easygoing, but we had numbers. So they figured, well, we're smarter than them. And they were. They were. And they came here and they started breeding with us. And this is where we get these stories of these angel-like beings breeding with the beings that were already here, and you know, so on and so forth. And here we are today. You know, however long that was, who the fuck knows? I mean, none of us today know.
Can I say something? Can I say something? You know what they've done to the maps, don't you? How they show us all the countries, right? Except England. England's always a pretty small little blop there. But what they did was in the 1500s, you could see Greenland. Greenland was only a bit bigger than the UK, but it's stuck between it's near a waterway that goes somewhere else. And on there are all these buildings. That's what they're showing you on the map.
Right.
So goodness knows what they're doing to us and what it's all about. Anyway, Trump wants to buy Greenland. But on the map, they make it look like it's the size of Canada and America put together, but it isn't. It's actually probably quite small through these Tartaria maps.
Yeah, I also hear that Africa is really the biggest continent.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
I am 100% sold on that too. Because
It is strange about the time
they put out,
differences, don't you think? Don't you think
everything
the
put
time
out from the space
Brazil?
stations is fake.
Although, yeah, that's
All that.
fake. Brazil is only 4 hours away from me in time. It's only 4 hours time difference away.
When they went to the moon, they were there in a matter of a couple of hours. And they were like, there's recordings of it, you know, of the proceedings, you know, between the Apollo ship and Houston, right? And they tried. They really did try at first, but those tapes will never be released because they would have to admit that the moon is like less than 2,000 miles away, not 46,000 miles away. You know? And they, even though their pictures don't make sense or anything, you know, because if like just example real quick, I know we're getting off topic, but just for example, if the moon is 46,000 miles away, like scientists' books say, and it is 1/3 the size of the Earth. So that means the Earth is a third, times bigger than the moon, right? When you were on the moon looking back at the Earth, it would be gargantuan in the sky, like shit you see in sci-fi movies when there's planets near each other and you're looking at one off in the distance. That's what it would look like. That's what it would have looked like if they were standing on the surface of the moon looking at the Earth. It wouldn't have been that tiny little ball that they said it was off in the distance. They had their measurements fucked up back then and they were dumb. And the people were even dumber. So they would just eat up whatever the fucking people put out. Because
Listen, the first time that guy comes down those steps and does not bounce when he hits the ground, you can see through his suit.
well, there's also been countless footage. I've got hundreds of videos on YouTube with other videos included in those hundreds where it shows bubbles coming up from their helmets. Bubbles during live spacewalks. Live.
And the other thing as well is that noise doesn't travel through a vacuum, and yet you can hear them walking around, touching things banging. You can hear it. It sounds like they're in water.
They are in water because there's a big simulator where they practice at over here in Cape Canaveral. It's like 35 miles away from me, right? At where NASA is. I'm like literally 35 miles away from Cape Canaveral where they shoot the rockets off. And there is a mock-up tank. It's this massive water tank that's inside of a giant building like a hangar. And there is a mock-up version, quote unquote, mock-up version of the space station that they practice in here before they send astronauts up there to be in it.
How can water be a vacuum of space? Water is not a vacuum of space.
Billions of dollars. Biggest black hole budget that the government has. Biggest black hole budget there is. Because the rockets that they shoot up always go downrange, and they even say it. 60 miles downrange, 70 miles downrange, 80 miles downrange. They're always saying that every time. I grew up on an Air Force base, okay? My dad was in the Air Force. I grew up on an Air Force base. I went to work with him sometimes, grading jets flying by, going downrange to target practice. And they would say the same thing, downrange. Well, downrange means going the same way as the Earth's ground. You know what I mean? Downrange. It means going across, not up. So it made me realize that something was really off with what they're fucking doing. And it made me look more into other things like flat Earth, you know? And flat Earth not meaning a disc floating around in space. That's fucking ignorant. But rather, there is no fucking space.
Wait, this space is here. The space is outside my window.
Right. But there is no such thing as outer space where there's other planets to go to, and all that's fuck shit. There is more land beyond the Arctic Circle. This is real shit. Okay? And there's, because, 10,000 years ago, people were using these maps to get around, the Earth. And then they came out with that global positioning system, and everything has been global this, global that, global this, global that ever since. It was Copernicus, and then
I know, I hate that word.
And then Galileo. He continued the ball Earth thing, He tried to get the kings and stuff to believe it, and they're like, no, dum-dum, it is flat. And he's like, no, it is round. And they're like, no, it is flat like a pancake. And they don't want to listen to him. So he kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And now there's a globe in every classroom. But yet the deepest hole ever been dug by man is 8 miles. The Kola Ultra Deep.
You know when they did it when we went to the moon, because then they pretended they had proof that we were a ball. And that's when they did it. That's when they actually did it.
Yeah, they had to do something to prove that it was a ball, because their ball Earth theory was falling apart. Their numbers don't add up. There's no curvature on the Earth anywhere measurable at all. None of the oceans curve anywhere at all. Nowhere. Zero. Water finds level every time, no matter where you are, anywhere. There's no mountain of water that you curve over in the oceans. This shit just doesn't exist. They've done laser fucking experiments where they've had lasers pointing directly straight, and there's been no curvature for miles and 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 miles. Salt flats, you name it.
People don't realize that, it's, what is it? It's 8 inches for the first mile, then it's squared. It does change over
8 inches per mile
a period of time.
In every direction.
But that does change.
That means
the longer the distance, the more that sum will change. But it's just like, we're not living on what they say we are. We are not.
The more believable thing is that it's an ever-expanding piece of land that we live on. We don't know what the fucking shape of it is, and we can't get any further out than the ice wall that they call Antarctica at the bottom, which is really a wall around the whole edge.
But again, these maps for this Queen Elizabeth I, they had something in the north. They had buildings. They had behind Greenland was an opening. I couldn't tell you whether it was land or ice, But you go through that, and they had a kingdom behind that.
South is out. North is in. South is out. People can't think of it as up and down. That's the lie. It's out and in. There is a center, and some people say that the very, very center is actually hollow, and there's a hole there. But I have yet to be able to confirm that kind of knowledge. But I do know that when you go to the North Pole on visits to that silver ball that they have there that claims that that's the North Pole, if you pull out a fucking compass, it still tells you to keep going another direction to get to north.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me.
So that's obviously not the North Pole. If it's still telling you to go another direction, it would just spin. If you were at true north, it wouldn't keep telling you to go another direction. And if you went away from the ball, it would tell you to go back to the ball. But so that's definitely not the middle of the earth, wherever the hell it is they say the North Pole actually is, where that silver ball is. But the South Antarctic, is, if you were to take the earth and unpeel it, all of those land spots where they take people to on Antarctica are really spots from those pieces of land that are near it. If you look at a flat earth map, it all makes sense. It really does make a lot of sense. The flights.
I feel about that. I feel that they just haven't explained things properly. There are hot places and there are cold places.
The flights give them away.
And what it is what they've done is they've taken you, like, if you imagine how cold the Andes are, but just those mountain ranges, but the land isn't. The land's hot. So they take you to somewhere like the Andes, they take you to somewhere like the Alps, and they take you to somewhere like Everest. But you don't know what's a few hundred miles away.
No. And they've tried. There was a guy with the U.S. Navy named Admiral Byrd. A long, long time ago, he was deemed with the task of traveling the Antarctic, in which they couldn't reach an end to. They were unable to, quote unquote, cross the continent. They were unable to reach an end. So what he believed was that it ended up being that it was an ever-existing, there was this ice wall that they reached first. And it's like 400 feet fucking tall, right? And they had to get up that ice wall with helicopters first and then go up to that ice plateau, which curved around that way at a distant point, as far as the eye could see, like if you were standing on a beach, and then as far as your eye could see that way, there's this wall that would just go, like in Game of Thrones, that ice wall, okay? Literally, that ice wall is real, and it's at the Antarctic in every direction. And they just take people to those little tour spots, and those tour spots only. You can't go to Antarctica other than on guided tour because of the environment they're trying to protect. Well, really, it's the bullshit lie that they're trying to protect. And I imagine the borders of that circle from other terrestrials coming in from other puddles like this one. You know what I mean? Because all it is a light source above us keeping the ice melted, right? In the middle, it's all melted right here. And there's other little puddles like that on this big ass board. You know what I mean? And there's other suns circling over here. And that may be where Mars is. Maybe that's where they're sending these rovers to, is just over to this area that they know that there's another sun at, because that's where the fuck they came from. That's my belief. I believe they fucked Mars up and they came here and took over so many thousands of years ago. And when their land is
but then one of my
habitable,
theories is we're here because we've been washed here, sort of thing. We've washed up here.
I believe that we were created, by a creator, but I believe that that we were manipulated somehow by these other beings from the other puddle. You know what I mean? And they, when they find out that their area is back habitable again, they'll start going back there and leave us with this shithole that they've made of it. That's my belief. I have a video about that too on YouTube. It's called The Meaning of Life. And it's on my channel, Organized Confusion. You'll see it. It's good. It shows puppets of a sort, an animation, purple and gray colored puppets and stuff, so that nobody attaches race to anything. But it talks about Thoth and it talks about Ra and those Egyptian characters. I guess because I'm half Egyptian, I'm kind of partial to that belief system, but it makes a whole lot of sense, and they've been there for a really long time. Longer than my nation has been alive. You know, that nation has been alive longer.
So what, are you full Egyptian or are you half Egyptian?
Half and half Spain.
Half Spanish, wow.
Yeah.
I don't see many people turn around and just say I'm English or when they look at their bloodline, they're Italian, Spanish, French, whatever it is. Wow, so that's a combination. I'm half Welsh and half German. Well, the other half's German, Jewish, and French. So I was European.
Nice. I was raised by a Mexican man and an Italian woman.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, it's so hard to work. You know, like you understand that things aren't like they tell you it is, but to actually, you can't even find it on YouTube anymore because they've changed all the algorithms. But you know, the one thing for me is water seeks its level, and once you realise that,
100%. And there's no curvature. There's no curvature anywhere. There's no measurable curvature anywhere on Earth. Nowhere. Nowhere, nowhere, nowhere.
I just think it's so hard to explain what we're on. Listen, if you imagine the cliffs of Dover that they show you and you drove from there to here, yeah, there'll be some hills, but they're not big hills. 10 miles past me is Swindon, and then at Swindon you drive down this hill that's about maybe half a mile long, and all the people like Devon and Cornwall, they live down there, and we live up here on the top of the hills. Now, they don't explain this, so it's a bit like Swindon's on the edge of a great Grand Canyon.
There is a dome above us called the firmament, right? And biblical books talk about this firmament, and it's even carved on walls in Egypt about this firmament above us, you know? And
I don't think it's as far up there as they say it is either, and I think they're lying about cameras.
But the moon and the sun are in here with us in that dome. They're in here with us. And the sun is very small and the moon is very small. They're the same size just as they appear in the fucking sky. It ain't because one is 93 million miles away. Okay? That's fucking dumb. For the fucking sun's rays to go through 93 million miles of all kinds of cosmic shit and still warm us, but when a cloud goes overhead, it stops getting hot, that's bullshit. Okay? Not to mention the sun rays.
All right.
Not to mention the sun rays that come through the clouds. That's impossible on a fucking sun that's 93 million miles away. If the sun was 93 million miles away and it shined down on the earth with its sun rays, it would be shining through all of the clouds that you see in the sky, not just the ones in your fucking neighborhood. You know? That's just stupid. After you're
Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing? Yeah. Less swearing. Less swearing.
My bad. I'm so sorry. It's just heats me up, man, when I know how bad they've duped the people and for how long. About 550 years now they've been telling people that damn lie. You know?
People don't understand a lot of people don't even know what corpuscular rays are. I think they usually appear in the afternoon. They're not always there in the afternoon, but the afternoon is when they're you see them more often, and they only happen locally. You know, they don't happen hundreds of miles away and I can see them for miles and miles. They're there right in front of you.
Yep.
It's so hard because in a sense we're living in a simulation, but we're not. But
well, it's an actual simulator. We're living in that actual simulator, and they're progressively pushing us into joining the tech with us by the microchips and so on that you can get in your hands, which, by the way, being military, they were putting those in us as kids when we were back in the 70s. They were putting those fucking things in us. Just as government, kids. We had different vaccines. We had different everything.
Yeah, but they've been experimenting on us for a long time. For me, when I was being born, there was a lot of children that they were called the thalidomide children because they were giving medications to pregnant women and then the children were coming out disabled. So they've just been doing these things to us for a long, long time. That's what they have.
Tell us. They always tell us. It's just nobody's paying attention, you know. Nobody pays attention to the fact that every single thing that comes on television, every show, is called a program.
Yes, yes, I
You know what I
agree
mean?
with you.
Are you kidding me? It's
Yeah,
called a
it's a
program.
program.
You
It's
still don't
all a
understand the programming
program.
you?
Yeah, they're all programs. You don't want to watch any of them.
And I said, you know that show's going to program you, right? And they're like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. I said, okay, wait till the end of the show. So we wait till the end of the show, and it says, today's programming has been brought to you by, and I said, did you hear that? And they said, what? Hear what? I said, you didn't hear that voice come on and talk real fast that said, today's programming brought to you by? And he goes, well, yeah, what about it? I said, they just told you, dumbass. They just said it. Today's programming has been brought to you by. And you still don't believe me. You know? You can show, that's how strong the programming is.
And
Until your mind
that's
is
what's
really
so weird
switched,
about.
you're
That's what's
stuck
so
under that.
weird about showing us programs like Elizabeth I and the Spy Ring and all that, and then we've got a king who should be king, and then they're showing us maps. That's what's so weird, that they sort of show us the
Yeah,
truth, but they don't. They
they
lie.
always do. They'll either share a news story about it, but they'll only share it once. They get it told to them from up above. There's only 6 news corps in the whole freaking world.
I think what it was is when I looked at, because I've done things differently to you on my channel, but I started looking at this footage from like the 1800s, and I realised that all they've done is they've sped the footage up like they did the NASA stuff. And then when you slow it down, all these other things are happening, and there's a lot of coloured people in there, and just like when it's at full speed and they say this is England, and you see a few white faces, everybody's just thinking it's England, but there's lots of different people there. And then it's like, well, what are they wearing? Look what they're. I just think that someone else is running us, and they've stuck all these videos out. And I just think, we can go back to the 1800s for sure, because we've got photographs and stuff, but the rest is all paintings.
Yeah.
And those people are a lot more advanced than we were.
Yeah, they were.
And all that's happening with these wars is they're destroying all the buildings they made.
Well, they have to do that, because for them to rewrite the books to say what they want them to say, they have to destroy what heritage there is that can disprove their theory, And I say theory because that's all they ever have is theories, theory of evolution,
the most
theory of
bizarre
the Big
thing
Bang.
is, we all think that it's 9/11 and it's all happening now, but you know what? The Tsar of Russia looks like one of Queen Victoria's children. Like, he was double playing then, and we're talking of the 1800s. So whatever they've been doing, it's just I'm just so disgusted with it. I found out loads more information, but it still doesn't get me to the end.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no one to go to. You've got no one you can go to. You can't report this anywhere. You can't go to the police.
Well, that's 100% useless, because they own it all. And they have everyone duped into believing that they're on this ball in the middle of space. You can't leave. But if everyone knew it was a flat surface that you could leave, if you had enough of a power source of some sort that would run on water or something like that, you could leave. You could leave. But they won't let that kind of shit get out, because there's a guy on YouTube that got killed. He mysteriously got killed after he came out with the car that would run on water, literal water. You just put water in it and it would start up and go, because he found a way to combust the molecules into fuel. The molecules in water.
Well, on that score like that, we were there in the early 1900s, late 1800s. A lot of the transport, the things they were making were electric. We were there. We were actually there doing it. And then by the time the Second World War's over, we're almost back to the beginning on rations and having to pick up with horses and carts and then start from there. And that's where we got from there to here.
Look at Nikola Tesla. He found ways to make towers that would pull in static electricity from the air and power neighborhoods to give people free electric. killed, shit buried. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
they
and
bury all of his stuff.
supposedly on your sort of like, when you're researching or looking and listening, he made that so that we could have it for free.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now his great great grandson or whoever the hell he is, Elon Musk, is allowed to come out with cars, and now they're coming out with power hubs that give your home assistance with power so that you don't have to pay as much for your power, which is cool, great, yeah, blah blah blah. And gives you power in the event of a power outage. And that's all cool. But he has in his hands the technology, the blueprints for the technology, and all of the money in the world at his disposal to build these towers for people to have free power now, and can't. He's not even allowed. He's only allowed to do what he's told he can do, Elon Musk. And now he started SpaceX and discovered the whole flat Earth thing, and he's like, oh shit. And they're like, that's
Well, how
right.
about this then? A few
And
weeks
they're
ago,
like, now you got to keep going with the lie, just like us. And if you don't,
before Christmas, they did a video where Elon Musk was supposed to throw these balls at the car and they failed because obviously it smashed the windows. But I slowed the footage down and you can see through the guy's legs. The whole thing is just that they made a fake video of a fail. I just don't get that.
well, because everyone knows that bulletproof windows still shatter. He was just playing as if he didn't know that. Like he's a dumbass or something. I mean, he is a dumbass. I mean, you can see he's a very poor speaker, even in that particular expo that you're talking about. You know what I mean? It was terrible. He's a terrible speaker. He doesn't do good with groups and speaking at all. He's every two words.
I think that he's playing with fire then, isn't he?
I think that he
That's what
did
he's
that.
doing.
I mean, I think he was just plain stupid. I mean, because everybody knows that bulletproof windows in anything, armored vehicles, whatever, they still shatter. They still shatter. They just you can't penetrate through. Which it didn't. It didn't penetrate through the window. It hit the window and fell to the ground, which is what it was supposed to do.
Well, you would have thought then, wouldn't you, with all this money that they've got to spend on it, that they would have found something else to put in its place by now. Some better glass than that.
If he was an actual dude with actual balls instead of an actual vagina that he actually has, then he would have grabbed a pistol. Then he would have grabbed a pistol and shot at it like a man would have done with his bulletproof windows, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that you understand that bit. It's so hard because some people believe this and some people believe that, but you often find that the people that are playing these parts aren't the sex that they think they are, and that they're women playing men and the men are playing the women. And it's like, oh my God.
It's part of the deal.
And we're just the little monkeys in the middle.
Yeah, we're the entertainment.
They're testing everything on us, aren't they? They're testing everything on us at the same time, emotionally, mentally, financially.
I truly believe that's what happened in Wuhan. I believe that they were just testing it to see if it was actual and real, that what they'd stolen from Canada, and I believe that it got out of control, and it wasn't meant to be going through like it is. And because it kills old people and sick people, the U.S. is going to let it happen. They're sitting back thinking, do you know how many billions of dollars we can save by just letting it go for a little bit? All the good people.
You know what? They're not putting it. The news is saying for most people it's just like having a cold,
and it has been. It has been like that.
The other thing as well is that they're not putting in how many people a common cold can kill.
Right, but that's around 200,000 per year.
So what I'm saying is, there's a percentage that it happens there. They're not saying that that's a virus, anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but they've also tried to compare it to the SARS outbreak, which is a similar virus. And the SARS was different in the aspect that people were only transmitting SARS when they were showing symptoms of SARS. This particular virus you can have for up to 27 days without knowing you've had it and be giving it away every day. That's going to be hard to track when you ain't got no temperature, when you don't have sickness, when you're not ill and you're just going to work every day like normal because your immune system was fast enough to respond to it where others don't, or you're just asymptomatic, period. And you've got it and you're just not showing any symptoms. That happens. It all depends on your proteins in your body, on whether or not it's going to affect you. And those proteins, that are a ball, with little holes like this, right? And the virus's prong goes into that hole and tells the protein to make more of itself. Well, some of those proteins just aren't allowing it into those people, but they're still not showing symptoms, but still making copies out of some of those proteins and spitting them out all over town. There's still no data on whether or not it's more transferable with people without it or more transferable with people with it, with symptoms or without. They don't even know yet. They don't even know.
Well, you know what? Did you see my video on the channel that it's a short film that was made in 1967 where basically they're making the news maybe up to 5 years in advance. So they already got all their stories, done their little films. That's exactly what they're doing. They're doing exactly the same thing now. That's what it is. It's disgusting. It's so disgusting. This was thought up maybe 10, 15 years ago, and then they've put it all into action. It's very ramped up at the moment, very narcissistic.
I have family that's in the military, and I have family that's in the government on a federal level. And that particular person is left town and went to their house out in the woods where they've been staying until all of this is over. And my military family has informed me that they started building facilities close to her to hold people in what is going to be a quarantine center where they're stationed at.
Yeah, that was my thing of when I was looking up about Napoleon. Basically, Napoleon was doing what he was doing in Europe. And then what happened was that at some point, half of Europe decided to move to America. And when it gets there, they say, you've got some illness, you're going to be quarantined. And they took the children.
Yeah.
And they became the orphan trained children. And then, the other part to me was Hitler did the same thing. He wasn't just doing just that, but one of the things was to quarantine the people and take their children, which he did.
Yep. He wasn't all a bad guy. I believe he was under control once that shit went down. I believe they were controlling him. I believe it was all part of a plan. He might have been a part of it, but he wasn't the head of what was going on. I don't believe. He started the first anti-smoking in public laws. He also started the first animal cruelty laws, where animals had to be treated humanely in transport and in life. He invented the blow-up doll.
That's a bit of a different one then, isn't it?
A lot of people don't know that Hitler created the blow-up doll. He had them built and made and created for his soldiers so that when they were out in the field working out in the war, they wouldn't be taken in by syphilis-infested hookers. Yep. So every man had one packed in their pack.
Wow.
So when you look at that, all the Nazi men had blow-up dolls in their satchels.
Well, they don't talk about that in the history, do they?
No, they don't. But it's a fact. You can look that shit up. He did a lot of good too in his life before all of that shit went down. He contemplated suicide a number of times.
It's a bit hard to know who tells the truth. Like we've been led to believe all these people were baddies, and then when you look into the Middle East, you think, well, somewhere like Libya, they had a good economy. They had 5-star hotels. People were going on holiday there. They didn't owe any money. They had running water. They had health programs, the whole thing, and we've destroyed it.
Yep. Everything. That's
But
all
you
part of the
know, our
plan.
time
They
was
have
50
to
years
erase.
ago when Second World War was our time. A lot of Europe was destroyed.
They have to erase in order to rewrite. They have to erase in order to rewrite.
Yeah, they'd have to do something like that. Anyway, yeah, we'll never know what the real history was. It was different then than what we're reading.
We can know, but we have to look within us and really feel for it. It's not really a conscious thing. It's a feeling, you know, like you'll see a glimpse of something on TV and you'll get a feeling of belonging or something, or some spike of emotion, something like that, you know. It may not matter what the history was. None of that could matter because time could never have existed in the past before these assholes came up with scheduling so that they could control you. You know, that whole time scheduling thing was 100% just to be able to make a schedule to be able to keep people by. So that shit could mean nothing. The past could mean nothing. The future could mean nothing. It could be all about just right now, you know? And everybody's always worried about, well, what the hell am I going to wear tomorrow? Oh, I wonder if that shirt is on tomorrow. Oh, yeah, it is.
Me
Oh,
too.
cool.
Yeah, I
But
think if you wake up and you realise things, you go and look at stuff, and it makes you realise even more. If you don't realise all that, then you're in your little space, and nothing else matters.
mm-hmm.
But
And
you
they
know,
want to say, me. Tupac Shakur said it best in an interview. I have videos, literally, I have videos about everything, about 400 something videos, okay? But literally, I have videos about everything. But Tupac Shakur says, man, he says it's not right, you know, that people, all these people with all this money, and there's people out here starving, but in order to be able to get there, you have to be like, if you want to be like Trump, and those are the words he used, I swear to God, this man died in 96. He says, if you want to be like Trump, you got to be like crush, push, take, and give back nothing, you know? And and to get there, you've got to be like that. In order to be on top, you have to be cutthroat. And if you're not willing to be cutthroat, you're going to be one of the ones getting cutthroat on the way on somebody's upcome, you know?
yeah,
When you're going to be the one getting stepped on so someone else can get up. And that's the sad truth behind it. And if you're willing to be cutthroat, because I've been there, I've done it, I've been cutthroat. You know, I've sold every drug under the sun, you know, at some point in my life, you know, in my past. You know, I'm older now, so I know better. But I've been there, I've done that. So I know what kind of generous rewards come from being cutthroat. Lots. You know, everything you want, bills paid, you know. I had no problems at all when I was selling drugs. Now I struggle endlessly and I work 5 days a week and run a business and a nonprofit. And I still have struggle and time paying bills and making ends meet everywhere. It's because I'm trying to live a good life. I'm trying to do the right thing and I'm trying to help people. For about the last, I don't know, 2 decades, decade and a half, at least 15 years now, I've been trying to do nothing with my life except help people. And I've got nothing but shit for it. Sorry, my language. But I've got, you know, literally. And it's a shame because when I was cutthroat, didn't have to worry about nothing. Everything I needed.
yes. Yes, when you're blind and ignorant and the rest of the things you don't worry about, you're just not thinking that way. You're looking at a totally different thing, and the moment you start thinking and feeling, your whole life changes, and it's just, yeah.
I just couldn't go back to it again now, knowing what I know about the world. Before, I was one of those duped sheep, you know, being led around by one herder, you know, that these people are standing in an arena. I'm watching right now. Check this out. I'm watching them standing in an arena, shaking flags around, hollering at Mike Mini Mike Bloomberg. You know, this is ridiculous shit. You know, I'm sorry, but this is just so ridiculous. These people huddling around in an arena, cheering for one person that they want to have to listen to for 4 years. They're going to be the same people that are lining themselves up to get in a FEMA camp when everything goes crazy.
Mm. Yeah, you're right there. And it's sad that a lot of people just don't know, don't care, don't see. But we've been going for about an hour and 5 minutes. Do you want to carry on for a bit longer, or do you think this is enough?
It doesn't bother me any. We can keep going. It's fine.
Okay, we'll go for another 10,
it's not
20
often
minutes.
that you can talk with someone about things and have it documented. You know what I mean? Because people don't have discussions like this anymore. You're told not to talk about religion, not to talk about politics, and now we're told not to talk about possible viruses that could be potentially life-changing for the planet, for the Earth, I should say.
Yeah, naughty.
You know what I mean? In particular, case in point, you know what I mean? People don't talk about things anymore. And it's because if we started talking about things, we'd become critical thinkers. And they don't want critical thinkers capable of critical thinking, because then they'll be able to decipher on how much they're getting screwed over and how much their government's thrown them off.
I think what it is once you in the past I've done things like go to ombudsman's, blah blah blah, and now I realise that there's nowhere to go. They can't help you. No one can help us. We're just stuck here.
No, we're not. And I say it at the end of every single video that I make. Every single video I make, I say the same thing. We can make a difference, but we must speak up. And all we have to do is keep speaking up. You know, it's taken me, with as hard as it is to make truth videos, the real way, not paying for fake subscribers, all that shit. All those other people like Alex Jones and all them, they had to spend millions of dollars in advertising to be able to get the subscribers that they have. You know what I mean? With me and cards and word of mouth and getting around, I've in 7 years only been able to get up to a little over 12,000 subscribers. And that's because it's stifled. I've gone to people's houses and had them look up my channel and then can't find it. Just can't find it.
Same for me. It's the same for me.
I literally have to take my channel, send it to that person in a message in order for them to pull it up on like their TV or something like that.
Yeah. I saw another video a while ago where these guys had they were looking at the algorithms in the like the backcode of each person's channel.
Yeah.
And they noticed this girl had a few videos that weren't very good, but millions of people watched them. And her algorithm was a very good algorithm. And you and me and that, they put us on a very low algorithm. So only if people see our channel through sharing do we get any subs.
Right. 100%. Because I even went so far as to having people subscribe right in front of me, right? So that I could see if it would change. And then I kept monitoring to see if it would change even over an hour. And normally I get a message that lets me know that I've got such and such as a subscriber. If they have a YouTube account, you get a subscription notification. Well, I know a guy that worked for Google, right? Used to work for Google. And I did a job for him, and he subscribed right in front of my face. And I never, still to today, have not gotten, it was about 5 days ago this guy subscribed to my channel. I still haven't gotten a notification that he subscribed to my channel. But I watched him do it in front of my face and click the bell. Nothing. And people don't get the notifications. And some people do, but it's like 7 hours, 8 hours after I upload the video.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting next to these people when they get the notifications sometimes. You know what I mean? Sometimes the next day. And he's like, hey, well, I just got a notification from you. I'm riding in the vehicle with the guy. True story. On my son's life. Crazy.
Mm.
These people are 100% monitoring what content is being put out. And they do not want people talking about this new particular thing. You know what I mean? Because some of the videos that I put out are really good and they start spiking in hits and then they get cut. They get cut from whatever system was allowing it to go through because liked videos get put into a different algorithm. So these people start liking the videos and it starts getting put in that popular algorithm and more people start clicking on it. And next thing you know, I've got 12, 13, 1,600 views on a video and they go, whoa, 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 stop that one, stop that one. And they remove me. So I get stuck there. It's 12 and 1,600 views forever, it seems, you know. It doesn't seem like they ever change.
Yeah, I agree with you. They do it to my channel.
I mean, how can people, and sometimes it freezes. I'll be at friends' houses and they'll stream it to their TV, right? And it'll freeze in the middle of the video and start buffering. And people, when they see that buffering shit, they'll wait for a second or whatever, and they'll try to bring it back once or something like that. But if it keeps buffering out like that, they're just going to go to the next video and not watch.
I know, and do you know what?
And they're
I got
damn sure not
told
going to subscribe.
I need to have the golden ticket, and I said, well, what's that? They said to get everybody to watch the whole of your video.
Yeah.
So how can that happen if they're doing things to the videos so people can't watch them? So
Yep.
how does that work then? It's just crazy what they do to you.
Yep.
It's crazy, but you know
I
what?
know
The
for
little
a fact
people
that
listen
I've
to
had
this.
multiple people unsubscribed from my channel. I've had people that have had to go in multiple times and subscribe to my channel because they keep getting unsubscribed by YouTube. Just going in and removing a bunch of people from people's channels.
Yeah.
And they have to go back in and resubscribe again.
Yeah, people tell that to me as well.
It happens like a lot. And the message, the comments thing, that's just crazy. That hundreds of people that a video that I'm only getting, it shows I got like 78 views on, right? But I'm getting 150 messages saying people aren't able to leave comments on my video. Well, how the hell were you even on my video? It only shows that there were so many people on it. They're stifling views. They're holding back comments. They're not allowing Facebook to. They're not. Facebook isn't allowing me to share my videos on Facebook from YouTube. I can't share them. Other people can. I can share other people's videos, but my URL for those honey badger virus videos are not allowed up on Facebook by me. But if I can't share it to people, then they can't know to share it to other
Can I
people.
just tell you something? In January, or it might have even been November or sometime earlier last year, they changed the algorithm so that, say you were talking about death, or I think those that are putting it out and saying it's happened, they get money for that. But those that disagree and say this isn't right, something's wrong, they stifle those videos.
Yep.
They're just in this. You're not allowed to talk about death. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do a lot of things anymore.
Well, they allow my videos up. They just don't allow anyone to see them. You know what I mean? In any kind of search engine, I have to share the link and someone has to click on the link, actual physical click on the link, as if they're tracking every single person that has seen my videos. That's an explanation. You know what I mean? Because every single time I go to someone's house and I have them look it up, or I'm at work and a customer wants to see it, and I have them looking it up, they are looking forever before finding something finally. Because I put out different series, I put out different series segments on YouTube, and I have people look up those segments, and they're able to find those segments, like the Peter Beaters segment that I have, for finding those predators online that are playing with themselves for, to get kids to see them in video chats, like this, for instance, but the swipe ones where you're just randomly swiping through random people, you don't know who the hell they are. And most of the times you don't know where they're at. Well, these people are playing with themselves. So the same deal, you know what I mean? But they are able to find those videos, because they don't have anything to do with any of the topics that they don't like.
Yeah, well, they don't like you and me, and they do things to our channel the whole time. That's what they do.
I know lots of YouTubers that are doing this too. All of them that are talking about the honey badger virus.
Yeah,
All of
that's
them.
horrible
All
thing.
of them are being demonetized for that. I was completely demonetized. I make nothing now from YouTube. So they're
But they
like,
actually took.
haha, you
They
might as
actually.
well
You
take your shit
you
and
can't
go somewhere else.
monetize any of your videos then.
I can't monetize any of my videos anymore. Nope. The entire channel has been demonetized. If I want to, want something monetized, I have to open a new channel and start from zero again.
You'd be
And
upset about that.
I know I've had more subscribers than what I have because I know I've had more views than what I have. I watched people in front of my face subscribe and click the bell and nothing changed on the counter.
I have been on a video and I click it and 200 views get taken off in front of my eyes.
How about looking up on your mobile and you see that you have this many views on mobile and you look on television, YouTube, and it shows a different number. And then I look on the internet on a laptop and it shows me an even different number on the same video. 3 different view counts.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? Sorry. I mean,
yeah, I don't know either, but I've watched them take hundreds and hundreds of my views off.
When a video is removed, the views with it go.
Yeah, I mean, if you understand, say this time last year, my videos were getting to 5,000, 15,000, 20,000. I've got one video that was on something like 131,000, and I went back and it was on 116. So they took off 15,000 views.
Yeah, I've got some videos that have 15,000 comments. So they can't take away the views on some of my videos that have millions of views. I have some videos alone that have millions of views.
But I
And
don't get the same view count today as I did a year ago.
you understand what view count means, right?
What
It
do you
goes
mean?
by IP address, not by how many times the video is watched.
Yeah.
So once an IP address hits the video, it only counts as one video, even if they watch it 1,000 times. It still only
Yeah.
counts as one on your view count. So
Yeah.
they kind of like making things look popular in that way, because all you have to do is get a whole bunch of people to view your video once and it makes you look popular, even though you may not be, you know. Like Hater's Diary, my song Hater's Diary. I don't know what it's up to. I know it's in the tens of thousands of views, but that video alone has been viewed millions of times, but by the same people listening to the song over and over again because they like the song, you know. But it doesn't matter because just obviously I'm more pop. If there, and then there's a video that sucks but gets 150,000 views because they got clickbaited or whatever, and they look more popular with that video than I do of my video that's got millions of views, actual views, but it still looks way less popular than that one with 150,000 views, even though most people don't understand the algorithm of how it counts views. The system, they don't even understand it. Most people, they're like, oh, you only got 15,000 views on that? Well, yeah, that's IP address hits. What's that? Never mind. Go back to sleep.
Yeah.
I think you just got a message on your phone. Better go check it. You know, I mean,
How do we change all this then? I mean, more and more people are waking up. Most people know there's something wrong, hopefully, even if they don't do anything about it.
but they're too ashamed to come out of that cartoon Kardashian life to say anything. Most people are too ashamed of being shunned or being your conspiracy. Oh, you know, I don't know how many. If I had a dollar for every time someone went in front of my presence when I'm talking to someone else, I would be a millionaire. Because I can't tell you how many people I've been talking to over here, right? And someone over here is like, whatever, I'm like, who the hell was even talking to you? Nobody was even talking to you. You know what I mean? If I thought you were somebody that I could be talking to about this, I'd be talking to you about it. Obviously, you're not. You know what I mean? Closed-minded people are everywhere, but when you meet that one open-minded person, closed-minded people like to throw their own salt in the game. For no reason at
It's so
all.
strange, isn't it? Because when was your wake up time then?
Mine was when Comet Ison was heading towards Earth, right? And I caught wind of what was going on through my affiliates, that it was actually a comet that was hurtling, and it was coming towards Earth, but towards our area. You know what I mean? It was something. I don't know what the hell it really was, but whatever the hell the anomaly was, it was coming towards us, and I was then led in by a Mason. That's when my wake up call really came. That's in a nutshell. A Mason. Um, uh, I don't know if I can say these things. Okay, a Mason brought me in, right, and made me a traveler, right, and so I was able to be let in on other meetings and knowledge of things that are. And that's when I was let in on the fact of that the Earth isn't a ball and that it's actually, the flat Earth theory is what's real. I never even heard of flat Earth theory. I didn't even do
What,
that.
you
I
heard
didn't
it
even know it
there?
existed.
That's where you learnt it from, there.
Oh, Mason, yeah. I learned all of the stuff that I know from being a Mason. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
when was that then?
And looking in hindsight to growing up on an Air Force base, I can look in hindsight at things, seeing what things I did see as a kid and knowing what they are now as an adult when I didn't know when I was a kid and stuff like that as well. And living, my own independent life and always feeling inside. Now, even as a kid, before knowing anything about anything, I always felt like something was not right, like something was wrong, and like that I needed more space, that I could not breathe in this place. And I didn't understand the mentality of it, as a kid. But as I got older, I could understand the feelings that I was having as a kid that I still have now as an adult sometimes. When I'm speaking about certain topics that are real, real hardcore, I can feel my insides tightening up like crazy sometimes, like I'm tapping into something, you know. And when I was introduced into uh, Mason uh, you know, happenings, it really opened my eyes to what really is going on here, and now I see all of it. Every time they say something on TV that is a line and not really just in the best interests of mankind, I pick up on it
You
immediately.
mean it's the next scripted sentence?
Yeah. But I pick up on those. I know I could watch a news segment on TV and know what stories were real and what ones were falsified just to make news. You know, I know what people are lying.
I know you
Just
probably don't want to go into all that because you said quite a bit anyway, but more of them are fabricated
sorry,
than are real, aren't they? More of them are fabricated though. Most of them are fabricated.
most of them are. Um, Most of the ones that are real nowadays are going to have footage because everybody's got a cell phone and somebody's out there snapping footage and they're putting it up on Facebook. And once it hits Facebook and YouTube, it's free public shit domain. They can go and take that and put it on the news all they want. Nobody can do anything about it, because you put it on a public domain. So the news goes searching for footage for news stories that they are covering in the anchor room that they don't have anchor people out in the field for. And most of the time, if they don't have any footage at all from a case, it's because it's not real at all. You know, like if it's not a big story, they're just making filler for time on the news if nothing's going on in the
Thank
news.
you. Do you know what? My channel started with the Watts case, and there isn't footage for lots of the bits of the the news there. They're just telling you and putting pictures in and stuff like that when they're telling you news.
Well, most of the fake, yeah, most of the, not even the pictures, they won't even show pictures on the fake ones. On the fake ones, there'll be a one-time story that they talk about it. They'll never mention it again. It'll be just a tiny story, like a break-in in a neighborhood and an old lady was attacked, but the guy ran off. They'll show the anchor person standing here like this, right, off to the side, and they'll show a silhouette here. It's not even a picture, really. It's just a black and white silhouette of a guy going like this into a like sliding door or something. You know what I mean? And it won't have any picture or anything, just that silhouette and the anchor person telling the story. And then they'll go on to something else another minute later. But they needed to fill that space with a minute of something, and they didn't have anything yet. That was in order with things. So they made up that story. It's a harmless story. It's not real. It didn't hurt anyone. It doesn't scare anyone
Yeah, but you
too
know what
bad,
though? They love layer upon layer upon layer. You listen to the news, there's nothing nice on it. All it is break-ins, deaths, this, that, horribles, nasty stuff, the whole thing.
Yep. And now they, I mean, see, this thing is going to get out of this thing that we're dealing with right now as the human population is going to get worse. And we already seen that in, everywhere, everywhere pretty much that it's touched. We had one case yesterday in Florida, and today we have 50.
Oh,
You know what I mean? But yet a week ago, I heard of a case at the hospital in my town. And I heard of another case in Miami, like 2 days after that, from doctors. Okay? So obviously the
yeah.
numbers, they're only getting the numbers out for the ones that they're testing. That's the only numbers that they can put out because that's the only confirmed cases they have. So if you don't do any testing, you can't have high numbers. If you don't have high numbers, you're not having a pandemic. You're not having a pandemic. Look at your numbers. They're so low. Everything's fine. Go to work. Everything's fine.
I think it's quite horrible to use something like this, and it's all over our news, and everybody's been told about this, and they're closing schools down, and all this is going on, and there's all this hype, and all this, and all of it's just not real.
Oh, I believe it's real. I know that it's
You do?
real. They're trying to kill all the old people and sick people. It will relieve the healthcare system if they're all dead before summer. Before everything is voted in, before all the new budget stuff goes into effect, if all of those people are dead, they don't have to worry about taking care of them anymore. The healthcare system forks the bill for old people and sick people. This disease just happened to get out, and these nations have a common enemy, and it's us. So if they let this
I agree with you on that one. It's like we're the people and we're being fed all this stuff, but actually it's like we're being treated like we're the enemy.
They're culling the herd, and we are the cattle.
Yeah, you're right about that one.
Okay? And they'll do anything they can to make a dollar, and saving money is the same as making money to them. So if a disease got out and they figured out that it only really kills older people and sick people, people with heart problems, diabetes, lung infections, lung problems, asthma, emphysema, and smokers and drinkers. Those are the people that are affected by this disease. And I know it's real because I have people that are there, you know what I mean, in China right now, that I know, that I've known for years, YouTubers that I've known for years that are there and have always been there. You know what I'm saying? So I know what's going on there is real and is really happening. And there's really dead people everywhere. I mean, I get cell phone footage. They're riding their bicycle down the damn road and there's bodies lining up along businesses and homes outside because you're ordered if you haven't been locked in your home already, if you were obeying the orders, then you didn't get locked in your home. So when people died in the home, you were ordered to wrap them up in a sheet and put them outside, and somebody will come around every so often and pick up the bodies. Well, he sends me video of him riding his bicycle down the damn street, and almost every single door had a body laying outside of it. And he went by like maybe a city block of space, and every single door had a body laying out in front of it. Just about. I mean, there was maybe 3 or 4 doors along the whole block that didn't have a body. And then I got other footage that this other Asian lady was talking to one of the funeral home people there, you know, and they're talking about, on the video that I have on the series, that they're talking about how many bodies they've been having to deal with, you know, and they're talking about like 130 bodies a day since the end of December, like the 27th or so. That's how long they've been having an uptick of about 120 bodies a day at this one funeral home. Okay, so the numbers are way worse than what they're reporting, and it's because it's deadly like that to those people. But 95% of China men smoke
Can I just say
cigarettes.
something? I put a video out on my channel. I didn't actually find this footage. Someone else found it. But they said, look at this and this. It's the same person. And then when you play it, in one part, she's playing a Canadian and talking to the Canadian news. On another one, she's English and married and talking to the English news.
Simone.
So it's a lady, an English lady, but that's all. They're hyping it up. They're doing something. Something else is happening here.
I don't. They're not hyping it up here, though. That's the thing. In America, they're not hyping it up. They're telling everybody it's nothing. It's not going to be nothing. Don't worry about it. Go on with your day. No problem. No, you don't need a mask. No, you don't need any food. You don't have to prep. Everything is fine. We have everything under control. This is what they're telling American people on the news. This is what the president's coming on TV telling everybody. Here, I don't know what they're telling you, but they're telling us everything's just fine and everybody should just go back to business.
We get a different kind of news than you do. We get our own news, but we get a lot of, we get a lot of news from around the world. And it's like, that's why to us, it's like Trump's running everything, because that's all we see is Trump all over the news. We get told it differently. We get shown different stuff.
Listen, I have been sharing a lot of things on Facebook of other people's work that I believe is credible. Like Dr. John Campbell, I believe that he is credible. He doesn't bullshit. He's an old man. You know what I'm saying? He's credible. To me, he's credible. And he has said from day one, and I've been watching it very, very seriously and closely for, I don't know, since at least the beginning of January. I've been watching it real close. Like, I started paying attention when it first happened at the end of December, when they'd announced things, when it first came clean about it. But I didn't really start paying attention until the beginning of January, But by halfway into January, I was really hard into it, and I started making videos. About 3 weeks ago, I started putting up videos on YouTube about this. And it is bad. And people that are sick, people that smoke cigarettes, people that have heart disease, people that have asthma, people that are obese, people that are generally unhealthy, drug addicts, things like that, they are going to have a hard time with this virus if they get it. And it's going to be hard not to get it, because there is a thing called an R naught value that they associate with a pathogen, which is the number associated with how many people it can be passed on to by that one person, or will most likely be passed on to by a individual who gets it. And the R naught value of the regular flu is 1. Okay? this particular pathogen has an R naught value between 2 and 3, which means it will get passed on to 2 to 3 people during that incubation time, when the people don't even know they have it, most likely, to 2 to 3 other people. And those people will in turn give it to 2 to 3 other people, and so on and so forth. And that compounds very rapidly. That's why we've seen an uptick in confirmed cases. Well, that's why we would see an uptick in confirmed cases if they were giving real numbers. We would see an uptick in cases like that anyway. It wouldn't go from 1 to 50. It would go from 1 to 3 to
So this is
6.
how they're going to do it, because what they'll do is they'll tell everybody they have to stay in. Because I was in London last weekend and I was on the underground, and there was loads of people in those underground. Like you just, how do you? What do you have to stop people going out? This is how they're going to do it. They're going to use medical stuff.
They'll have to. And this is an excuse, you're right, for martial law type activity within the government, but they won't call it that, because in America they're not going to call it that, because all the gun-toting ass people are going to get ready in their yards, and when they come trying to take people to a quarantine center, they're going to get shot, and there's going to be wars, little tiny civil wars all over the damn place, because people are not going to be allowed to be drug out of their homes and took to a damn FEMA camp. It's not going to happen here in this country. Too many people have guns. Too many people have guns.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. They're trying to take them away as well, aren't they? They're trying to take those away from the people.
It hasn't worked because we have too many lobbyists that have guns and want to keep them. And they're pulling for those laws to stay the way they are. You know what I mean? It's in our Constitution. So they're not going to change that constitutional right. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Period. Over half of our population has guns. Over half of it. Well over half of it. And that's just the legal half. You know what I mean? Think of all the criminals that have guns too. You think they're going to go out without a fight? I don't think so. I don't think so. They're not letting come up in their house like that. It ain't happening. In China, they're a controlled society. It's always been that way. A totalitarian society. So they have that government on them. So that's the way it is. They had no choice. They had freedom all this time for years now. They felt like they've had freedom, but when it all came down to it, they found out real quick how much freedom they didn't have. I saw a story yesterday about a 5-year-old that got locked in with his grandfather into a house. They had locked in apartment complexes, and he died. The grandfather died, and this fucking 5 or 6-year-old's running around the apartment for, I don't know, like 16 days before they came around doing wellness checks. He had this, Lord knows what this poor kid was eating while his grandfather was laying there rotting. Think there's anyone to sue on that? No.
Can I just say that we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes now? It might be quite a good time to stop because people only listen for so long.
Right, but it can always be broken up into multiple parts.
Yeah, or I will put it probably out as one hangout, but maybe we can come back in a few weeks and see what's happening.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking online, but it's pretty crazy. I put out another video this morning. I don't know if you've had a chance to see the one I put out this morning.
I actually thought that it was not real and that they were just playing all these games, to be honest.
I don't know. I mean, people that I've known for many years, you know what I mean, are giving me information. And
once you
my family,
being a Canadian and an English person, what's that about? So they're hyping something, trying to make it look worse than it is. They've got masks on.
But it is that bad. It is that bad. And here they're downplaying it, though. In America, they're downplaying it.
But she was an English person and she was a Canadian person.
They're just now starting to talk about an uptick in numbers. And it's little ones, oh, nothing to worry about, folks, blah, blah, blah. It's just crazy how they're
just
telling
to explain to people as well, by the way, on this hangout. We've talked to each other a lot, but we've never actually had a hangout together. So this is our first hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all relaxed now, aren't you?
Well, it's just I'm used to doing interviews and stuff, so that's, not a big deal being recorded and stuff. Doesn't bother me. I obviously record myself all the time. But yeah, it is comfortable talking with you because I know that you're open-minded. That's the difference. It's being able to talk with someone who is open-minded and not set in one way of thinking, of believing this is the way that everything is in the world, and not only that, it's not even their own independent opinion or hypothesis even. It's a man-made cookie cutter themed made up version of something that a billion other people are following, as well. And they think that they're independently thinking, and they're not. They're trained on how to independently think, and that's not independent thinking. So that's why I'm comfortable talking to you, because you're an independent thinker, and those kinds of people think alike, and so it makes it easy to talk.
Yeah, we've both got channels. We both try and tell our bit of the truth, don't we? So, that's going on as well.
Absolutely.
We're doing it maybe different ways. And I know that, you sent me music and you sent me the honey thing. But it's been a real pleasure talking with you, and our first hangout together. And yeah, we'll come back and we'll do some more talking. But for the recording, we'll say goodbye, but we'll say goodbye afterwards. But everybody, thank you very much for listening. Thank you, chat room. So, to chat room, and to organised confusion. Thanks very much.
So much.